Welcome to DowerChin.com. All right, today we're going to take a look at the iPad Air versus the Surface 2. The comparisons are going to be, they're obviously aimed at each other. So I have the 64 gigabyte iPad Air over here, which retails for about $699, and this is a 64 gigabyte Surface 2, which retails for about $550. So there is a bit of a price difference between the two already. So let's take a look at some of the things you can do with it, obviously. So the thing about um, the Surface is that it runs Windows RT. All right, so basically Windows RT is a subset of Windows. It gives you an Explorer just like you would have on a regular Windows machine, as you can see, and as it has the standard Explorer window and everything, along with their Windows 8 UI. Looking at it real quick, you basically have access to these are your tiles. Some of them are live tiles, and some aren't. But Microsoft has included with the Surface RT editions, both the first and the second one, a Office RT suite. So you get pretty much almost the exact same version of the desktop versions of Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. And then this one also actually has with Windows 8.1 RT, Outlook 2013 as well. So, and Apple recently announced with iOS 7 that they're now giving away Keynote, the iWorks package, basically Pages, Numbers, Keynotes, and so basically um, Apple's versions of Office applications are now freely available for them as well. So if we take a look at Word um, versus Pages here. I have a document, it's a new document over here real quick. So basically, you're looking at this being more of a desktop application versus something that's more geared for their tablet experience, because Apple is all about the tablet experience. The Surface version is much more geared as a more or less desktop type application. It pretty much retains most of everything that if you're used to using Word on the desktop, you can see is very much familiar in that sense. The keyboard doesn't automatically pop up, but you can always launch the keyboard separately to basically do your work. The on-screen keyboard for RT for the desktop side isn't quite as well integrated as, say, Apple's Pages. But if you're using it with the attached touch keyboard or type keyboard, their experience will be exactly the same as if you had a Windows laptop. So, so let's still take a look at numbers and Excel. Basically, they both come up relatively quick. Actually, I haven't. I've just recently installed Numbers, so I haven't done anything to it yet, and it wants me to set it up for syncing and whatnot. So just use Numbers, and so this is pretty much what you would expect in the desktop version of Excel. So both will be able to do your work. It kind of depends on whether you are more apt at using Excel and more familiar with Excel versus maybe whatever adjustment it is you would have to basically use Numbers. Me personally, I have not really used Numbers and Pages very much on this side. I've used Word and Excel more often in my work life. So let's take a look at what else we would normally do with these things. Now, you can always read PDFs and those kinds of things. I buy some PDFs every now and then to read some magazines and so forth, or some books. And let's see, Microsoft's got a built-in. Let's see if I can find it. I put it over here somewhere. Well, I have. Let's close out my applications here real quick, and let's go to my computer. And I know on my SkyDrive I have some books over here somewhere. I didn't prepare this very well. Let's see. Sorry, guys. Oh, I missed. As you can see, one of the detriments being that it's a desktop, more geared to having a mouse to work with. These are awfully small to get to, but let's take a look at some of the books I have on the JavaScript side here. So this one I bought for doing some programming, and let's open up this guy. So I did the same thing, but I'm going to use a commercial application called Goodreader instead of iBooks, and we'll just take a look at it. So I just launched it over here. So I flip it this way, So you can see that how it kind of works here. Now, so it's interesting that the iPad actually is a bit better formatted for books. Uh, Now this is using the continuous scroll versus the page by page. You have the option to change that. I can go to one page. But now it's very interesting to see that because the display for the Surface is 16 by 9 versus Apple's a bit more 4 to 3 aspect ratio, fits the pages a bit differently. So I see I have all these big black bars on here. So if you're not in continuous mode, you're kind of looking at it this way. Speed wise, you're not really notice anything drastically different between speed. Oops, sorry. Yeah, here we go. And both zoom equally nicely. Let's see. Make sure that I want to make sure the brightness on this side is up. Yep, so the brightness is up. So you can see that, interesting side by side, you can see that Apple's display is actually still brighter than the Surface 2's display. This is the Retina display, obviously. This is a full HD display. So you can see, oops, zoom back out here. Oops, zoom in. So there you have it. Oh, this little glitch there. Weird. Okay, so you can kind of see what the reading experience is like for this now. Now, the one interesting thing, obviously, is you're going to notice because the aspect ratio of the displays is that for things like Netflix or watching movies, what you're going to have is on here, most movies are going to you're going to have um, black bars because movies aren't really made for this form factor. For this, it's going to fill it up nicely because the form factor is appropriate for HD movies. Uh, the other thing that's going to be a differentiating thing from the software side of it is RT still has a bit of weakness when it comes to the store. So the store has some apps, and the store experience is a little bit different. Let's switch it back this way. I was looking for Dropbox earlier, so let's go back to the. Oops, it's upside down. Over this way. There you go. I was also looking for Acrobat earlier. Let's go back to the top here. So obviously the shopping experience is a bit different. So you get to take a look at the different store apps. Obviously, the so shopping wise, it'll be a little bit different. This is the Microsoft Store versus if you're familiar with the Apple side of it, this is the iTunes Store where you can buy apps and music and so forth. So Apple has a head start. There's a hell of a lot more apps on here. There are a hell of a lot more games on here. Um, Microsoft is slowly catching up. They've only been in this marketplace for over a year now, so obviously there's still a lot of catch up to go along with these two. Where software aside, the other big difference is obviously is that this is a lighter device. This is at 1 pound, and pretty much this is what you get. All right. There's no ports besides Lightning port on an iPad, versus on one of these guys. You get it's a vapor magnesium construction. It's a different material. It's actually pretty it holds up pretty well. My Surface One held up pretty well over a year. The one thing I'll say that I feel that the design wise being superior in this one is that it's more functional in the sense that it sacrifices the prettiness and simplicity of this for pure functionality. One of the things that really makes this and sets us apart is the fact that it's got a kickstand. All right, it's really kind of funny to say, but this is a fantastic feature that really sets it apart from everything else on the market. The fact that it's built in, it's got a two-stage kickstand. The Surface One did not, so you got this mode and one more, and that allows you to basically put it down, and you can walk away, stand aside, watch movies. You really can't do it with this. You're gonna have to hold it, or you buy a case to cover up your luxurious, beautiful device with something to hold it up. It's probably one of my biggest pet peeves is the fact that it would be nice if there was some other way to build in to stand up, but it does not. It's Apple's design philosophy versus Microsoft's design philosophy. Obviously, the Surface has bigger speakers on the side. Got a micro HDMI, so you can output it to a television if you get an adapter for it. USB 3, and there's a power adapter for it. If you want expansion, it's got a slot here for a micro SD card slot, so your options for expansion are a bit greater with a Surface. And once again, the shortcomings really comes down to the software side of it. If you want more games or things beyond productivity, but for a productivity standpoint, for say an office worker, it's hard to beat the price because basically 550 with a $120 attached keyboard, for example, you have a pretty nice system that weighs about a pound and a half. That you can easily take around with you. That can do all your office stuff. But the iPad is definitely a bit more fun device. A lot more games on it. It's a pretty device. It doesn't weigh a lot, and so it really kind of depends on what you want to get into. But since both these are both in the category of being compared to each other, so that's one look at it. Um, there aren't many games that are similar that will really push the devices that I can really just show you. But as a look, the Surface Pro, no, so Surface, no, sorry, Surface 2 versus the iPad Air. So if any questions or things you want to see, let me know. Send me a message, and I'll see what I can do for you. Thanks for watching.